My next guest blames both parties for the damage being done by the inaction. In separate letters written to both President Obama and House Speaker John Boehner, she writes in part, quote, Americans deserve straight answers on where negotiations stand. While the upcoming legislative session will involve a lame duck Congress, there's too much at stake to live up to this label and not take immediate action. Joining us now is the author of those letters, Gretchen Hamel, Executive Director of Public Notice. Good to have you on the program, Gretchen. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Have you gotten a response to the letters you sent to the President and the House Speaker?
Unfortunately not. I think that I've seen that they've been out and about and on the trail, but we haven't gotten a response, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to keep quiet and not continue to push this issue.
I mean, how irresponsible is this?
It is pretty irresponsible, and I know that we are in election time, and I know that we are 11 days out from the election, but we've known that we are going to be facing sequester since the end of November of last year. Now, the House has taken actions, but the President said that this would have a solution and that we wouldn't have to worry about it in that debate on Monday night. But then we find out that he and Speaker Boehner haven't even talked for 4 months. So how do we expect a grand bargain to happen when the leaders aren't even talking?
Yeah. Why do you think the President and the House Speaker have not met in the last several months? I mean,
you know, that's a good question.
And by the way, I'd like to know when the last Jobs Council meeting was. You know, that's another thing that hasn't, MIA.
There has been a lot of things MIA when it comes to this economy, when it comes to the leadership that we need to see from the President on these issues. We just haven't seen it. I mean, for the past 11 months, we've known this is coming. We've known this is going to hit. We've had warning sign after warning sign since the beginning of March. The House moved to take some actions. They have taken those actions to replace those sequester cuts, but the Senate has not, and the President hasn't even called the House or the Senate to even have a conversation about a way to move forward. And I know we have an election, but this is about our economy, and the economy continues to move whether there's an election or there's not.
Well, I mean, look, we know where the lines in the sand are, okay? So President Obama has been very adamant about this, on not giving the highest earners a continued rate that is in place right now. So not extending the tax cuts for the highest earners. Is he right? Is this an ideology that is getting in the way of getting deals done, or is this the core of a bargain between the two sides and something that should be done? What do you think?
Let's look at the problem. How did we get into this mess? How did we get $16 trillion into debt? It's not by taxing too little, it's by spending too much. Every year, Congress has continued to spend more and more and more. Under a Republican administration, under Bush, and under President Obama. We have a spending problem, first and foremost, and that needs to be the first thing we tackle when we talk about finding a deal and a path to move forward.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. So where does this go? I mean, let's say the election takes place, we know who wins the election on election night, and then they come up with a plan to deal with this right after the election. Is that enough for you?
I think that's, you know, being an optimist.
That's the best we're going to get at this point, right?
And I don't think that's going to happen. Unfortunately, we've already seen reports this week here on Capitol Hill that Democrats are already starting to talk about how they can push into January, and we're not going to be facing a real solution here. And that's the problem here in Washington, that we continue to talk about short-term solutions to problems and Band-Aid type solutions. We don't talk about long-term, and that's what's holding our economy back. That's why that report this morning in the Washington Post, where 1 million jobs have already been lost because of the fiscal cliff, it's a problem that we have no vision and no policy here in the U.S. for long-term economic growth.
Well, whose fault is it? Is it Congress or is it the President?
Buck stops at the President, right?
So you're saying because he has been unable to bring the two sides together, then the buck stops with him?
I mean, the President does deserve he is the commander-in-chief.
Right.
He is the leader here. And I think it is up to him to forge a path forward, to lay out a vision, and then push Congress to act on that vision. And we have yet to see that. So I think both parties are to blame here. Both Republicans and Democrats have put us in this situation. But at the end of the day, he's the President of the United States, and he is the one who determines the vision and the path for this country.
Are you expecting a recession in 2013? I mean, already the expectations call for perhaps a slight recession if we go over the fiscal cliff, but most people don't think we're going to go over it. They don't think they're going to allow this to happen. But I say, well, they haven't done anything yet. Why would I have any confidence after?
Exactly. And if they do anything, it will be some short-term measure, something that kicks the can down the road, because the sequester doesn't even cut the debt or deficit. It just slows the rate of growth to begin with. So I do think that we're going to see a recession or some sort of slow economic growth next year. I don't think we're going to see, unemployment can continue to fall. I think we're going to see unemployment continue to be right around 8% or even higher. I just don't think that people have the confidence in Congress and the policies coming out of Washington right now to make a difference in the economy.
All right, we'll leave it there. We'll keep watching this. Gretchen, thanks very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon. Gretchen Hamel.